It is Tuesday night, and it is the Tile Happy Hour. It is a brand new year. Welcome to 2024. We made it through last year. I'm so excited. Things couldn't have gone better for the holidays, but it is now a new year. We are pushing forward, and the Tile Happy Hour will continue. We will push on through Tuesday nights and answer all of your burning tile questions. And speaking of things that burn and need ointment, welcome John Tedesco live from New York. How you doing, John?
I can't believe it's 2024. Happy New Year to everybody out there. Today's what? 1/2/24. Wow. It's
1-2. Yeah, I don't know. I know that a bunch of people got married. Looks like on 12/31.
Was
23
1, 2, 3,
because it was 1 2 3 1 2 3. It was craziness. People trying to do that and get everything I guess settled up. What's so funny is who waits to get married when it's a gimmick? I don't know, but
you know what?
I guess that happens.
I heard that. I think it was in Carolina. I could be wrong. They brought like extra. At an airport, they brought like ministers in to do like marriages at some facilities so people can get. Now it's a perfect thing for a guy, right? Because guys typically are notorious for forgetting your anniversary.
Right.
So I guess if I was in that situation,
well, if it was in South Carolina, they probably brought the ministers into the middle schools.
Oh, is that what they do?
I'm joking. Wow, we're starting out on a crazy note already. Yeah. Bring your mic a little closer. You're not as loud as me, but I don't know where you're watching from tonight, but we're here to talk about tile. What's crazy is I actually think we got Instagram Live working. John, did you get a confirmation that you're?
I don't think my Instagram is live. I think yours is live.
Okay. Well, I got Instagram Live working. I actually can see it on. You can't see my hands on that screen right over there, but it's a little tricky. But if not, you may be watching on X, which now on X I can see the comments live on my screen. So if you're watching on X, shoot us a text on X. Gosh, that sounds weird. And let us know where you're watching from. Anywhere else in the world where you're watching from. Dan, I see you. Dan is already starting a count on how many times I was crude, and I think we're up to 2 now. But if you're watching on LinkedIn, John's LinkedIn, we're live there. We're live on John's the Tile channel on YouTube, and also on my channel on Tile the World.
Don't forget
to
Facebook
pick up
too.
Instagram, we canceled Facebook because because Instagram it was a big we'd have to upgrade our software to stream to, and nobody I don't know if anybody's watching on Facebook or not. If you're watching on Facebook, I don't want to exclude you, but I don't think we're broadcasting on Facebook tonight. I don't know.
We've been getting a lot of traction on multiple sites, but I feel that LinkedIn has been really strong and YouTube has been strong. I think those are the 2 strongest. Instagram, I think I had a last minute glitch and I wasn't able to take it home. In the end, I had that double feedback and I had to can it. So
that's right, because you got to invest in some ears.
Yeah. So we tried to go live on Instagram. We're going to shoot for next week on my Instagram site.
That's right. Well, there's so much out there, and technology is so great because we can do things like this. And if you're watching and it is not January the 2nd, you're watching on a playback, and we're not live, but hopefully we still are live. And but please still let us know where you're watching from. So Dan, I know where you're watching from. He's watching from the great state of North Carolina. I see there's some other people out there. Jump in to the conversation. This is your show. If you love John or I, or hopefully you love tile, you're here to hang out with us and talk about tile.
Yeah, it could be in any order. If you love Craig first and then tile next and me last, whatever order it is, that's fine. But if you are watching this live, Thank you for watching. Happy New Year. If you're watching this on a rerun, or what, I'm probably dating myself by saying a rerun, but if you're watching this an encore presentation, that means we were successful in broadcasting, and it's out there in the it's out there in the webosphere.
Internet world.
We have multiple channels, and you know what? I don't mind doing this like test live, because sometimes you just can't get everything perfect. You just try it, you wing it, throw it against the wall, and what sticks works, and that's what we do.
Dan says he's got some Walkman headphones for you, so wow. I don't know what that means. John, I heard something on the news today. You tell me if it's true. They said that New York had a big earthquake this morning.
Well, yes, New York had an earthquake. I wouldn't say big. I think it was Roosevelt Island, which is up in. If I only saw it, I heard this morning there was a boom at like 9:30 or something like that, and they weren't sure what it was. And I paid attention then, and I thought it said Roosevelt Island, which is kind of like in the 50s on the east side of New York. And then later I saw like a news thing that it was a 1.7 or something earthquake, and it was heard on the ground. So yeah, but that was pretty crazy start to the year, right? And unfortunately, the crazy stuff happening in Japan, that's really sad.
Yeah.
So
at 1.7, I think that's what I got on my SATs.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a
that explains a lot.
Yeah, it does. Thanks. Yeah, but I mean, we just got back from the holidays. I hope everybody, John, I will say that, and I'm not taking full credit for it, because you are at least 60% of the show.
Oh, wow.
But we got a lot of traction off the rerun of Josh's episode. We did that on the day after Christmas. We reran that DIY show. And if you'll notice, John, you'll start seeing this because you're tagged in it, that the clips from his episode are starting to filter in, getting a lot of comments off that DIY episode. I like
he's just a dynamic guy. I think that's a big part of it. I noticed that, one of the graphics we put up, it didn't have me or you on it at all, and it got a lot of views. So I think that I think one of us is going to have to go and bring him in.
That may be it. Maybe we should stop putting our face. We'll just start putting random people's faces on there, and see what kind of traction we get. And whoever gets the most traction, we'll just keep that as our mascot.
That's true. Well, 2024 is here. We've been teasing people about guests. We have a lot of guests lined up, so you're going to start seeing that soon. But you're the guest. You're the viewer, people. You're watching. So if you want to chime in on any of those sites that you're watching on, let us know where you're watching from, what town, what city. If you want to be incognito, just let us know what room you're in, and we won't tell. We won't tell your parole officer where you're at, but we just want to know that you're here. If you're actually watching this and you want it like a pen pal in jail, send us a letter. I know all Craig's friends, probably there. But it is 2024. 2023 was an amazing year. Challenging in many ways. Business, personal, the world. But we made it. We're here, and we're in good enough shape to talk about tile on a Tuesday night at 8 p.m.
Yeah. Well, what was your highlight of the holiday?
I guess the highlight was my kids. My son, lives in Portland, Oregon. My daughter's down in St. Pete, Florida. So sometimes one comes for Thanksgiving, one comes for Christmas, and sometimes the moons align. And this time they did. They were both here. So that was really good to see them come over and spend some time. We had a lot of good family time. My son saw Billy Joel at UBS in Elmont for the New Year's Eve. So he had a concert at UBS in Elmont, and they counted down at midnight at the arena. So was so he said it was amazing. That's good. Actually going to see Billy Joel, I think in May, I believe. So looking forward to that. I haven't seen him. I'm a real concert guy, but I haven't seen him.
Oh, wow. My wife and I, when we were there last summer, we went and saw him at Madison Square Garden. I think it was he had some record of how many times he's played there, because he lives right across the river. And we were there on one of those nights. I don't know if it was 80, 800. I don't remember, but it was cool, man, to see him. Happy New Year, Josh. Thanks for tuning in. Well, we spent the holidays at the coast. We were here in Raleigh for Christmas, but really only for that one day. And it was so odd because we're having the inside of the house painted. So as soon as we opened presents, had breakfast, we took down the tree, everything. It was like Christmas never happened, and we headed to the beach. But we saw the coolest thing. Our island that we have a place on faces south.
Okay.
And it was a clear night, and we were able to see SpaceX launch.
Oh, wow.
I don't remember if it was, I think it was the 30th.
Well,
and
I was a little disappointed. I thought you were going to say something about Santa Claus, but okay, keep going.
Do you think SpaceX travels on with Santa Claus?
Oh, it's possible.
Maybe.
Now,
but it was the neatest thing.
Was it like a lot of little dots and stuff? Was it like a stream?
What was unimpressive was the launch, because we're so far away. I mean, I don't know what it is. Right. I mean, Dan, you tell me how far it is from my beach to Cape Canaveral. It's got to be at least 30 or 40 miles. But so at first it was only a red dot, and it kind of went up through the air. And I don't know if it was coming our way or what was happening. But when the stages came apart, it looked like a jellyfish in the sky, and it was really the coolest thing you'd ever seen. And I'm trying my hand at photography, and I'm not doing a good job at it at all.
I saw some of your pictures. I think they were pretty good. I didn't see the bad ones.
I took some night shots, and trying to get that right was really difficult. And I thought I had it, and I'm like, I'm going to do a night shot of the SpaceX. It was, you could see it in the pictures, but it looked like
a lamppost,
Mars picture, but it was cool. My wife actually got a better shot of it with her iPhone.
Now, night photography. Look, how many times have you seen like this big, beautiful moon? Let me go take a picture of it, and it looks like the lamppost in front of your house. Like it's a whole nother skill set of filming, of shooting at night. So
it's different, but I found it's fun, and it's kind of a mind clearing thing for me lately. You know, I was like, hey, I'm gonna take the camera out to the beach, and I'm just gonna take some pictures. And so, but yeah, that was kind of the highlight of our thing. We hung out New Year's Eve. Have you ever heard of a low country boil?
I have. I think it has to do with seafood in a pot.
Seafood in a pot. That's right. There's multiple stages.
Is it a gumbo?
Sort of. It's not a gumbo. It's not a soup. It's more like because it's like steamed food. But it's a process, and so we did that. I have a outside cooker, and I don't know how big the pot is, but it'll fit a turkey in it. And so with potatoes, sausage, crab legs, shrimp, and so New Year's Eve, that's what we did. It takes about an hour to boil it all, because you got to do it in stages and all that stuff. But the fun thing about it is you put butcher paper on a big picnic table, and you just dump it out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
And then you just go in. I mean,
yeah. Well, my seafood event was, the Italians like to do our 7 fishes on New Year's Eve, Christmas.
Okay.
Eve. So Christmas Eve, December 24th is just as big as a holiday as December 25th in my entire life. Just as big a holiday. I mean, we're still celebrating the same thing, but from a family perspective and getting together and who's going where and who's cooking, Christmas Eve is a big deal, and the food is very specific. And do you know on New Year's Day what a lot of Italians eat on New Year's Day, but particularly Southern Italians?
I bet it's not the same thing as what the Southerners eat on New Year's Day.
Oh, grits? What do they eat on New Year's Day?
No, well, you go first. So what do Southern Italians have on New Year? And this same thing as if you don't eat it on New Year's Day, you don't get good luck for the year. Is that right?
Well, it's the other way around. You get good luck if you have it. I don't know if you don't do it, if you don't get it, but if you do have it, if you want to have good luck, you eat lentils.
Lentils. Okay.
Lentils. Yeah, lentils are a thing. And also, you're not supposed to eat chicken on New Year's Day. You can eat pork. I don't know that reason.
Okay.
but lentils are a thing in a lot of Sicilian families. Not all of them.
Well,
But
that is close to what we do down here. Dan actually, he knows black-eyed peas and collards.
Wow.
Black-eyed
peas. Interesting.
So if you eat black-eyed peas and collards, you're I don't know if you're promised good luck, but you'll have good luck for the year. So when we came home, we packed up and came home on New Year's Day, and my mother-in-law had a ham, black-eyed peas, collards, and that's what we had.
And your house was already de-Christmasified, so you had no.
It was already de-Christmasified, but it was painted, and it was a nightmare. There was.
Oh, really?
We had to put all the stuff back on the walls. There's paint splat. It was gross. It was gross. But next time I told my painter, I said, listen, I'd have paid a couple $100 extra if y'all would have cleaned up.
Yeah. Well, you should assume they're going to clean up, but anyway.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't leave a huge mess. It was just, after construction in your house, but, we got it almost all put back together before I crashed last night, and here we are today.
That's it. Well, I'm glad to be here. We're glad everyone's out there. We're talking about tile tonight. We're talking about anything in tile. So if anyone has any comments or questions, feel free to shoot us a message. And if we don't get to it live, we'll get to it afterwards. We always reply to our messages directly. And, the show has, episode number. I don't know what number we're at. Do you have an idea?
Oh gosh. I think we're 41. Actually, I didn't hook my hard drive up. So I believe we're 41.
All right.
But I save all our episodes on an external hard drive, and I'm sitting here looking at it. It's not plugged in, and I'm scared to plug it in because things are already running slow tonight.
Yeah.
So let's just say we're starting 2024 on episode 41.
All right. That's a good thought.
Yeah.
And we started talking about.
You thought of this topic. What was your brainstorm on the topic? Even though
a lot of the topics that we talk about are inspired by things that I see that I feel are gaining traction in the industry, and things are cyclical. I've seen a lot of things come and go, and I'm sure you have as well in the industry. But I've noticed that the dimensional stone that's often acquired by chiseling, and when we say chiseling, it's probably more for just a visual for the novice, or just to paint the picture in your mind. But it may not actually be chiseled. It may be, worked in a certain way, hand or machine of some sort, high tech or low tech, to create a different finish on the surface of a stone that makes it dimensional or three-dimensional or carved, whatever you want to call it. And I've noticed that on the tile bar offerings, we're kind of expanding that a lot. We brought in a new line that really takes it up another level, and we had some other lines that we refined. There was another line called Barcode that we kind of discontinued the format, but now we reintroduced it, the technology, in a 12x24 from an 8x8. So I think it's maturing, and I guess probably the word.
Okay.
I think it's starting to mature. And what about you? Do anything appeal to you as far as the styles? Do you feel this is something that's come up and coming more so now?
I tell you what piqued my curiosity was that when I was a contractor, I made more money doing stonework, and some of the jobs I did were really custom jobs. And now what Tile Bar's offering is not necessarily custom, but it is unique, but it's very similar, 10, 15 years ago. If you wanted a stone that was a trim and it had curves and stuff in it, you would have to order it from the quarry that way, and they would get it manufactured. And that was a very big upgrade to just tile work. And then you upgrade to stone, and then you're upgrading to what I would consider a cut to size or CTS stone that has, literally, I would measure a room and lay out each piece of stone in the room and have cut sheets for that piece. And then each piece may have a different trim or a different base that would actually be fabricated and look just like possibly your wood trim that you have in your house right now. And it was very profitable and I loved it. I got to go to Italy a couple times to the quarries with some owners to actually pick out material for their homes. And I love the idea that some of that uniqueness can be purchased kind of, say it tongue in cheek, but off the shelf.
I was thinking of that word too. Okay, so that's kind of it. I think it's a combination of the demand for it, the people's taste have kind of matured, and they really like. You know what? We've had some big successes at Tile Bar with tile porcelains, like the Kenridge ribbon, right? That are dimensional, that have gained a lot of success, and not that the Kenridge ribbon or those textural tiles have were the reason that stone is popular. I think it just shows the look is popular, be it stone, be it porcelain, be it ceramic. We have ceramic with waves on it. We have stone that has waves on it. So I think it's that whole dimensional thing. I think this year is going to be really strong for this dimensional material. And I think the trick, and I think what you were kind of going down the road of, it's an expensive type of material compared to just a plain marble or a limestone out of a box with a honed or polished finish. It's more accessible now. And it's because people like Tile Bar are able to kind of, have a system to have these materials created, curated, if I may, in a way where it's more affordable. Is it more than a regular tile? Yes. But it doesn't have to be for the the $5 million mansion. It could be in your basic home, and even though it's more money than a basic tile, maybe you just do it on a feature wall. You do it in front of your bar or in a restaurant area. You do it on a feature area in the lobby, and so it's exciting. And we have a lot of nice.
I would say in the formats, anytime you're buying something in a format, whether it's 12 by 12, 12 by 24, or even 24 by 24 and 24 by 48, you're getting something that the average tile setter can possibly set it. Whereas when you go to this cut to size, what I used to do, you've got to have a really high end skill set. Only 10% of the normal tile setters can handle a project like that. Number one, because of the weight of the material, because it's normally really thick, and then it's really expensive. You got to know what you're doing. So the great thing about some of these products, and we'll show them to you in just a second, is that you're getting that custom look, but with possibly a basic or a little bit elevated install experience to, like you were saying, it doesn't have to be for the mega mansion. It can really be for the normal home or the average home.
It's true. You used the term CTS, cut to size. Can you tell us more about that term?
What cut to size means in the contracting industry or the construction industry, in the stone part, is you have, for instance, the first cut to size job I did was First Citizens Bank. I don't know if you have those up north, but it's
we got Second Citizens
just a bank
up here.
Second Citizens. Down here we're number one. But they wanted statuary white walls with an 8-inch base with the I can't think of the OG edge, and that's just the little curly Q edge. And then at the top of this wainscot, which was I think 48 inches high, they had a chair rail, which looked like a wood chair rail, but it was made out of statuary. And so that room, let's say it's 12 feet long by 16 feet wide. You would plan out every wall. You've got your toilet wall. That toilet wall is 16 feet wide. It's going to have 5 pieces that are all the same size. They're 48 inches long, and I'm making these numbers up. And then you're going to cut in the other ones, and it's going to be made exactly for that wall. So when the quarry You send those drawings over to the quarry. It's a bunch of squares, and say, I want it this length and this width, and it'll have a number on it, and that it'll be piece number. Say the room number is 137, 137A, and it'll be A through G around the whole room. And so every one of those pieces are cut to size. So when they come in off the container and you unload them from the crate, you find the room number, you find the piece number, and you look at your drawing, and it's like a puzzle.
The abbreviation
goes here.
Well, that's cool. And that abbreviation could be, I wouldn't say misleading, but if a novice hears the word cut to size, they may think, oh, Craig's showing up, is going to cut it on the site to size, of course. But I think it's just easier to say CTS, but it probably should say PCTS, like pre-cut to size, right?
Yeah.
Pre-cutting it to size, and usually and often it's for projects that are repetitive also, right? You have a multifamily building, and there's 235 bathrooms, and each bathroom's getting the exact same thing, and there is some and a lot of times it's of course meant to make the installation easier, but also the added expense of maybe a carved pattern or something really interesting can be mitigated a little by the fact if you're doing cut to size, you're not, a lot of these factories don't really charge for the waste, right? You're not telling, oh, the tile's normally 12 by 24 and we're cutting it down. They're just making it the size you want it. So there's inherently no waste. Or I guess the reverse is true.
Now, and the danger in that is, you want to order 48-inch chair rail because that's your most common one. So you have 500 pieces that are 48 inches long. And then where you always struggle is, do I go ahead and pre-make all my cuts? Or like you said, do I possibly cut them in the field? Because a lot of times you have to get these drawings done so early, you can't field measure the room. And when you can't field measure the room, you're going off of drawings, and then they don't make the room to the right size. And you've got stone that has been quarried, cut into pieces or in blocks, and then cut into pieces. And that's a 16 to 20 week process. And what you don't want to happen is you get a bunch of material on site that's too short. If it's too long, that's okay. But the stone stretcher is still broken.
It's a very unfortunate and ironic situation where you want to plan ahead and be very efficient. Let's just order this all from the factory, ready to go. But the risk is significant if you're not 100% sure how it's going to get built. And often you can't wait to something to get built because you have to, like you said, order it, and it takes a lot of lead time. I think people in the industry who have experience have all been burnt to some degree with a cut to size project, and going forward, they just need some assurances. Okay, we're going to do this cut to size. If we're going to order it before it's built, 1,000,000% it has to be built to the spec.
Yeah.
And if it's not,
I'll give every installer out there or contractor out there a tip. Whatever your biggest size piece is, that's what you order the waist in, because your biggest size piece will fit any of the small pieces because you can cut it on site. And so that would I'd sometimes have
all the
a
pieces
10
are 30 41 inches, then you're saying order 48-inch pieces. Is that?
Well, say the majority of your pieces are 48 inches, but you've got 5 or 6 pieces that are 52. Don't order the waist on the 48 inches. Order the waist on the 52. Because
so you may need it. If you end up needing it for the big pieces, you have 52. If you end up needing it for the 31-inch piece, so you waste a little, but that's your insurance.
But you don't have to wait on it. So that was man. We would have meetings after meetings of, how much do we order? Well, because there's a dollar amount to that. And then there's what do you do with this stone if you have it left over, and, but we said all that to say that, and I'm going to share my screen, John, is that when you are doing tiles, you don't necessarily have to have, these conversations because these are already cut. And I don't know if I can make that bigger, but I love The texture in these, the ribs, I don't know what you call that. I call it confetti, and the flutes. It's so interesting. And
what's cool about it is
these are in stock.
Yeah, when you see this in person, it is impressive. The materials are really nice themselves as a raw material. What's really cool, I mean, look at that in the video. That's just like a really cool. It's like a concave V.
Yeah.
That's just stunning. There's a lot of depth. There's a lot of thickness and depth on these pieces. So it's this is probably the most dramatic that we have in the Stoneworks line, is because the material is pretty thick. So a lot of the things, a lot of the patterns are carved and with a pretty heavy reveal, and which is a whole nother topic on if you have outlets or if you have, shower bodies.
Yeah, I actually just did a video on that. How to handle those things. But one thing, hey, these are natural stones, so you have to be careful with them. They need to be sealed. And I would seal them as soon as you install them and before you grout.
Yeah, there's a lot of handling involved, and there's a lot of crevices, right? So you want to get that sealer in that little where they meet in the valley there. So when the grout gets in there, you can clean it out.
You can clean it up.
So if you see there's a white and there's a black and there's that kind of one that kind of like Calcutta looking, I think it's called Rose or something. I'm not sure, the bottom left one. But or yellow or something interesting. I can't see it from here. But yeah,
you can't see it. You can't see it from New York.
I can't see it from New York. So this is the one I was talking about. We had a line that was called Barcode, kind of inspired by barcodes on products,
right?
The lines. Yeah. And we had it on an 8x8 stone, on a Portuguese stone, and it was with the company for a long time. I think since I started with the company, and it's just now been discontinued. And I see that we're now using the barcode. This is like the next generation of barcode. The series is no longer called Barcode, but the pattern in the Stoneworks line, I believe, is called Barcode, or it's described as Barcode. And now it's instead of an 8-inch square,
it's look that. Yeah. Now, John,
how do you think they do that? I mean, those aren't carved by hand,
and
right?
They're meant to be used together. I don't know if my computer's glitching a little bit, but they're meant to be used together. But sometimes they, depending on the spacing of them, you want your flutes to line up, you want your ridges to line up, and you want all that stuff to kind of look seamless, so it looks like a seamless wall. Is that the best way to install it? Is that what you suggest?
Well, when you see one piece of it, you just visualize the wall being, this grooved wall. And of course, one tile where it meets the next tile needs to line up pretty closely in order to accomplish the feeling that you want.
Right.
But it's not a slab. There are tiles. They are 12 by 24. So this is a good time to manage expectations with your client. It's not one big slab with grooves in it. So there will be, let's say those lines are going vertically, there will be horizontal grout lines, but you want to make them pretty close. You want to get a complementary grout color, and you want to make sure.
I was going to ask you about that. Do you want to grout that Carrera with a black grout?
Definitely not. No,
I wouldn't think so. Yeah, you want to try to match it as best, because you want it to look like the size. You want it to look like the big wall of stone. So you try to get them as tight as you can, and it's stone. And if you have a flat substrate and a competent installer, you should be able to get those grout joints to a 16th or less.
Yeah, and then do a good job grouting. Like it's really important all times to grout well, but in this particular case, it's interesting because it's probably the hardest to grout, but a case where you really want to grout properly because you want it to disappear. You don't want it to be that noticeable. So this is where you invest in the installer. You have to get the material.
Yeah, you definitely You don't know how much an installer means until you have to tear it down and replace it and buy it over and pay to have it done again.
I've noticed, a lot of people hire a professional, somebody really good, and sometimes they'll say to themselves, wow, I paid that guy, X amount of money. How much does this guy make a day or whatever, and they're kind of like starting to do the math. And everything went smooth. But, a lot of times things went smooth because the guy is an expert. And,
That's right.
And if you're bring a novice in there, everything is can go wrong. And then they start blaming the substrate or blaming the material. But a real professional knows they're walking into this job with either a stone that's a natural material that has its normal imperfections and variations, or a fired product that inherently in the kiln, they make it this size and then it shrinks when you fire it. So there's a lot of, there's very good tolerances built in, but you have to understand it's not perfect, and a good installer knows that. And it's it should be seamless to the end user. Like, wow, that was really easy to install. And it's like, it wasn't.
Just because they make it look easy doesn't mean it is. I watch this guy on TikTok. He's on all the channels. Sal de Blasio, I think, Elite Tile. He's from Boston. And you can tell he's been setting tile for a long time. And he'll show some really intricate things that he does, and he makes it look so easy, especially in a 30 to 60 second clip. It's like, man, that makes it look easy.
Right.
But I've watched people try to do that in real life. It's not easy. It's not easy.
And when somebody is not a true craftsman in their trade, they're not there yet.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll fall back on blaming other things.
Yeah.
And but a true craftsman won't take a job if he doesn't have the confidence that you're buying the right material, that if he's not or she's not doing the prep work, and if someone else is doing the prep work, that's going to be done properly. That's super critical.
Yes.
And they need to look. I hate when a guy just shows up. It's like, okay, what are we doing today? Like, whoa, like, how did you?
Wait a minute, you didn't think about that before you got here? Well, tell me about this. Tell me about Semena. Did I pronounce that right?
Semena. So Semena is a limestone from Turkey.
Okay.
Dealing directly, Tile Bar is dealing directly with the quarry owner and fabricator, so there's no middleman there. And there's a few different styles. If you scroll a little, you'll see on that left, there's that chiseled and that chiseled top, the top left there, that is really cool. Talk about grout. I mean, you really, I mean, I've seen plenty. I did that in a lobby of a multifamily up in Pleasantville, New York, and it came out beautiful. You just need a good installer, coordinating grout, pre-sealing it.
Right? Pre-sealing and your grouting is key to this. And once again, I'm coming from a contractor's perspective. Match the tile as close as you can with the grout and try to make it look seamless. That does a couple of things. Number one, it gives you the seamless look, but it also helps you in clean up on the grout. It doesn't stain the tile a different color than it's trying to already be.
Yeah. And don't throw the low guy in the totem pole on the grouting. Like,
no.
Charge accordingly. Don't say, "Oh, this is a pain," or the grout didn't come out nice, because it's when you bid the job, you have to look at that and say, this is going to take me X amount more times to grout than a polished. I mean, grouting that is probably
don't put Jimmy on it that just started on Monday.
Exactly. And grouting is like the grunt work, right? There's a lot of grunt work in grouting.
There is a lot of grunt work in it. And I tell you, I've seen it both ways. A lot of times when you're doing something like this, the good installers will not let the new guys grout. They may let them mix up the grout, but a job like this, you need a ton of water. So you need a full-time water fetcher.
Yeah.
Exactly. But that's a neat tile.
I noticed that you were very politically
limestone is
correct.
very porous.
You were very politically correct in that term, the water fetcher. So I'm really
Water
proud of
fetcher.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the letter carrier is no longer the mailman, right?
That's right. Water fetcher. I would say water boy, but then we'd start having Adam Sandler quotes.
Yeah, exactly.
So the last one I
Oh, wait,
had
before you
in my list that you sent me over. Okay, you don't want to go here now?
No, I was going to say there were other items in that series that were textured, but in a different way. Some of them had a little bit of a wave to it. There's one that's called Lines.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's one that's called Lines. That's probably the most popular one in the textured. It's a soft line. So yeah, and it's really nice. That is, I mean, the textured one is very, very rustic looking. This is more minimalistic looking, kind of bamboo-ish, kind of organic spa looking, right? That's how I look at these. So this is called the Lines.
Installed it with
it's
I'm surprised they installed it with that big of a grout joint.
That picture is from our studio. That is just, I agree.
I mean, but that's a pretty big grout joint for a stone.
Yeah, I think on the job I would ask for it to be tighter for sure.
I think so too.
Face. So
this one is the one that you lose your
brain, your knuckles. So split face. I understand split face.
This is the one where it'll soak up all your grout.
Yeah, I understand split face. Do you know why they call it split face?
Because normally they just take a chisel and pop it, and it splits.
Yeah, you're not just talking to me. We're talking to the audience. Let's explain this a little more.
I actually had a picture. I was trying to make the thumbnail for today, and I actually pulled out pictures from like the 30s of guys making stone and doing exactly what I just said, taking a block of stone and putting chisels in it one at a time until the stone pops and breaks and creates what kind of face?
So you have a split face. So you have a thicker material, chisel it down the middle, and when it separates, the inside is kind of rough, right? And then that rough part now becomes what was in the middle is now what you're looking at, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to think of a food analogy. It's probably something that you cut, and I'm thinking Italian food like Parmigiano Reggiano. It's a chunk of cheese, and you have to you don't cut Parmigiano Reggiano. You take a knife kind of and just twist it, and it kind of breaks off, and it gives you that split face finish. And so that's what I think. Parmigiano Reggiano finish. That's what I call it.
I buy Parmesan in the bag that's already
in the little green can. Don't do it.
Is that what do you mean? That is tease.
No, don't do it.
All right. So let's go to the last one, which is called Waves. This is probably my favorite. I love the texture of this. I love I don't know if you call them flutes, ribs, whatever. And look at that. You can see light through it, which if you've got light coming through your walls in your bathroom, you've got bigger issues, but it is cool.
Well, that first material, let's just talk about material. That first material, that's just the nature of that material. It has like little silica flecks or something in that kind of has this semi-translucent effect to it. It is a marble. It's not an onyx, and then there's kind of this white Carrara kind of looking material and the kind of Nero Makino looking material. And so I think what's nice about it, and I think maybe one of the reasons it's your favorite, is that it has texture, but it's also has a nice soft feel to it. And I think subliminally you like it because it's probably the easiest to grout out of all the ones we just looked at. So I think you're just gravitating to it a little. I'm not saying it's easy.
Maybe that's it.
But it even though it does have those valleys, right, where the two circles meet on the low point, it is relatively smooth. So I could visualize taking a sponge that's damp and be able to, properly clean it. And
after it's sealed, of course.
After it's sealed, yeah. So Craig, right? We've talked about this many times. All stone, all natural stone should be sealed. A sealer is not intended to change the appearance of the stone. There is a category that can, but typically a sealer is intended to protect the stone from surface contaminants, something sticking to it. A sealer doesn't prevent, if you have a bad installation, a bad substrate, it doesn't prevent a leak, so when someone says my house is leaking, they didn't seal it properly, they didn't seal the stone, it's a bigger issue. It's the substrate, right? It's the system.
Absolutely.
So kind of just, touching back on, because we talk about sealers probably every other episode, and this is a real important one. Now, if you to take a standard sealer, it doesn't change the appearance. If you take the black stone that's honed and use an enhancing sealer, right? It what does it do to it?
It makes it look wet.
Yeah,
so,
and makes it darker and more vibrant. And I see we have a recommended sealer.
So it'll bring out different colors than what you see right there. Like if it's got some like gold overtones in it, and you can't see it in that map picture.
Yeah,
and
I did see the enhance sealer pop up.
Add an enhancing sealer to it, or just some water. That's what an enhancing sealer is for.
Well, here's the trick. If you want to see what the enhancing sealer is going to do to your stone, take a dry piece of stone, like that black marble, get a sponge, wet it, but then wring it out so it's not dripping, but just wet, damp, and take it and rub it over the stone. And as you're rubbing it over the stone, as if you were to take a dry rock that you found on the beach that's dry and like kind of white and haziest, and then when you wet it, the color pops. The same thing with a dark stone. So if you just slightly dampen the stone and count to like 3 seconds, that's what it will look like enhanced. And then all of a sudden it starts evaporating. And
I feel like that's what I just said.
Yeah, but I said it in a much longer way, and we get paid by the minute. So that's
you did. You used 100 words when I used 25.
I'm used to that.
Yeah, I don't know I don't know if it's my internet that's cycling on and off or yours. I don't know. I do have 17 windows up here. So, but
yeah. Well,
so
the reason I was embellishing a little because you were breaking up a little. So I think I only heard half of what you said.
Gotcha.
So anyway, I know I went off on a tangent on sealing, but this material, like all stone, but carved material, textured material, really needs to be pre-sealed, and it just helps you. And it's not expensive. It's not hard to do. You just need to think about it. You need to do it.
Yeah, you plan on it, and don't let your contractor talk you out of it. If you want to protect your investment, sealer is cheap insurance, and especially when you're buying look at this. It's $29 a square foot. It's not cheap, and you don't want to get in there a month from now and it not look the way you want it to or the way that you intended it to. And a sealer will protect you. And we've got great sealers. There's plenty of great sealers out there on the market. Tile installers don't like to do it because they think it holds them accountable for the life of the job. And that's not realistic.
I don't think, I think that's one of the reasons. I think there's another reason they don't do it often.
What's that?
They can't charge enough. Like the amount of time it takes to seal it, they don't see anything for, like, if you're tiling a wall, you see the progression, right? And you're tiling your wall. When you're sealing something, especially with a non-enhancing sealer, it looks like you did nothing. And then and you feel bad, like charging the customer. Like you almost would rather be in another room tiling and say, hey, look, I put up 192 feet in the other room, and now I could charge you so much, for that. We're sealing it. So I think it's a combination of the two.
I think that comes down to the salesmanship of the installer, and they need to say, hey, listen, you want this to last a long time, and I'm willing to seal it for you, but it takes X amount of time, and I can't charge you by the square foot. I mean, I'd lose money. You can do it yourself. Here's the material. Here's what I suggest. Or I can do it for you, and I'm going to charge you this. But I understand that logic, even though I think they just need to get better at selling the value in what they're doing rather than the time it takes.
Yeah, I agree with you, Craig. I think it's becoming more professional. So the word professional envelops a lot of different things, and most tile guys, the first thing they're professional about is their workmanship, and sometimes some of them are weaker in the communication skills and managing expectations and telling customers, if you do this, then this. If you don't do this, then that. So I feel like this podcast and a lot of the things that you do actually help professionals understand ways of explaining it to their client, because people you can seal it yourself. I mean, that is one part of the job that is tedious, not hard. It's just time consuming.
Right.
And so if I was a tile guy, I wouldn't object to the consumer saying, I'll do it. The only thing you got to be careful is if you're pre-sealing it, then it's complicated because it's got to be done before, and then show up oh, I didn't get to do it.
Then that's really, in my opinion, that's part of the installation.
Right.
And you got to account for that as an installer. You got to account for the pre-sealing part of the installation. And it's not cheap. And when you teach your client, if you're a contractor and you're telling them, hey, listen, this is the pros and cons of this, you're raising the industry. And I always mess up this quote. I tried to think of it the other day. A high tide raises all vessels. I don't know if that's not the right quote, but
that's right.
As we educate people that maybe aren't even our clients or not even our customers, I do it day in and day out, and it's because I want to make the industry better, because I know if I can make the industry better, it helps us all out. It helps John out. It helps the guy that's buying his tile from Home Depot. It helps him out.
It's true.
Yeah.
But you know what? It also, to that point, if enough people are doing it, enough people are talking about it, the goal is when the contractor walks into the job, the customers probably saw this video, saw our podcast talking about it. They were like, "Oh yeah, how much are you charging? I know you have to charge me." And they're like, "Oh wow, yeah. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, John. Yeah." So,
and we will take bribes, not bribes, commissions.
That's it. But that's the point about a rising tide raises all ships. A rising tide raises all ships.
That's it.
And everybody will, rise with it. And these are things that are important. These are industry things that are important, because tile lasts really forever. It really lasts. So you want to do it right. If you don't have the money or the budget to do it right, perhaps hold off on it. Wait a year.
Yeah.
Do the project when you can. Get the right. If your guy's not available, wait for him, because, hey, what do you think about a do-it-yourselfer doing these carved materials?
I think it's possible. I think that they need to set the expectations and take their time. Any type of stone work is more difficult than a ceramic or a porcelain tile, because stones are cut exact. A 12 by 12 is 12 inches by 12 inches exactly. 24 by 24 is 24 by 24 exactly. The thicknesses are very consistent. So therefore, with this premium product, without a premium install, they can look terrible.
Right.
You can do it. Proper technique is critical, and taking your time is critical, and not trying to say, yes, honey, I'm sure I can do our bathroom in the weekend. It may need to take 3 weekends, because it's expensive, and tearing it out is a no-go. You've ruined the material. You may have ruined your substrate. But if you don't feel comfortable, call somebody.
Yeah, wait. Or if you're going to do something yourself, we've talked about this before, try to use material, even the layout. Like, don't start off with a diagonal herringbone, right, on your backsplash. Like, start off where you can start off with a straight tile first, and don't start off with a hexagon where every every edge is a cut. Like you can't get away from it. So set yourself up for success, not failure. So if you're do-it-yourself, if you're a tile guy, also, if you need to gain your experience, and in your career, you're going to do these projects and you're going to enhance your skills as you move along. I do notice sometimes some installers tell a customer, "Oh, I have an idea. Why don't you do it this way?" And sometimes I think they're saying it because it's easier to do it that way. Let's give you a 1/2-inch grout joint. I love it. It's great.
That's right. That's right.
Everybody evolves. Everybody kind of expands their knowledge, and as long as you're always working to improve yourself and improve the industry, it's really good. And that's what we're here for. So if you have any questions or comments, any suggestions on this topic, any other topic, this is the Tile Happy Hour. We're here every Tuesday at 8 p.m. to roughly 9 p.m. We have a lot of guests coming up in the future, and we have a lot of good topics coming up. And we're just happy that you're out there. What do you think, Craig? Going to be a good year?
Absolutely. I'm excited about this year. I'm excited about the things we have coming up. We said right before the holiday break that, we're going to be broadcasting from coverings again in Atlanta this year. So if you're out there and you're in Atlanta, come see us. We'd love to meet you and talk to you. And this year is going to be packed full of stuff. There's stuff happening in the industry. We're seeing a lot of growth. So I'm super excited. And tell your friends, your tile nerds, fellow tile nerds, let's get together and talk. We're here, and we want to hear what you're dealing with outside of our four walls, on the job sites, in the showrooms, in the quarries, in the factories. We don't discriminate. We want to hear from every part of the industry, because as we just said a little bit ago, the more we learn, the more it raises the bar of the industry, and it helps everybody out.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't have said it better. So thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you. Hey, we're going to probably broadcast from Coral Gables maybe next year, this year also, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. And I found out that those lights that we got, the one that you have and I have, right, I actually broke mine down to go to the beach because we did our podcast while I was at the coast, and it breaks down pretty easily and travels really well. So I think the quality is going to be a step up from our broadcast last year in Coral Gables. Maybe we'll do it out poolside, something. That'd be fun.
Yeah, although it was 109 degrees that day.
That's true. Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah. So we have a lot of guests. We have 2 definitely on the road locations, maybe a 3rd that we're thinking of, maybe a 4th. So we're going to have a lot of exciting things. We'd love for you to be with us, stay with us, take this journey with us during this year. 2024 is here. We're really happy that the Tile Bar company has such a broad range of products and a broad range of styles. And Craig and I really just love to talk about tile in general. And we're just happy about it. And we're happy that you're here. So this is John Tedisco. I'd like to wish everybody a happy new year, and like to also wish you peace, health, and happiness.
And this is Craig. Once again, it's Tuesday nights, the Tile Happy Hour. We love learning together, and let's tile the world.